Hello everyone, hope you all are sitting with the answer that you have written. If not, pause the video and bring the revision test answers and check right now. So there was 12 mark question paper and let us discuss the marking scheme. So what our first question was, ferrichloride is stored in airtight bottle. It is a give reason based question. So answer is ferrichloride is deliquescent substance, it absorbs moisture from atmosphere and get dissolves in it, so it is stored in airtight bottle. So these are the keywords. Once again I am repeating, ferrichloride absorbs moisture from the atmosphere, get dissolves in it, as it is deliquescent, so it is kept in airtight bottle. 1 mark for this. Second question, boiled water is tasteless. The dissolved gases in boiled water escapes out on boiling as solubility of gases in water decreases with increasing temperature. I hope it's clear. The dissolved gases in boiled water escapes out as solubility of gases decreases with increasing temperature, and the test provided by the gases, if it escapes out, obviously it becomes tasteless. This is also 1 mark, and third question also 1 mark. Basically in chemistry, as you know, every question carries 1 mark. Hard water is generally not used in the factories. Factories, there are boilers. If we keep on using hard water, there will be deposition of the insoluble salt, and gradually, or if you do not mention the word insoluble, fine, there will be deposition of the salt which forms a thick layer in the boiler and then further prevents the heat to come in touch with the water and the fuel, and the wastage of fuel becomes high. That's why hard water is avoided in the factories, because it is not possible to clean the boiler every time. In factories there are big setups, so we cannot clean it every time. So the answer is, if we keep on using hard water, there will be deposition of the salts which forms a thick layer, and then the heating, more fuel will be wasted, as there will be it will act as insulation type of thing on the boiler, so that the heat will not go to the water easily. You need to use more heat and more fuel will be wasted, so it is avoided. Question number 2, give example of a solid which solubility decreases with increasing temperature. It can be calcium sulfate. Hygroscopic substance, you can write concentrated H2SO4, or you can write P2O5, and you can write anhydrous calcium chloride also. Third, a metal which has no reaction with water. Maybe this question was not there in the or it's there, I think in class 8 you read this one. It's about the activity series. The elements which are lower than hydrogen in the activity series, they do not have any reaction with water, as we know. So it can be gold, it can be platinum, copper, any one of this. Silver also. So 1 mark for each, total 3 marks. Third is define efflorescence and solubility. So efflorescence is the property of a substance to give out its water of crystallization on heating or on exposure to the atmosphere, and turning it from crystalline to the amorphous, and sometimes changing the color as well. And example, as you know, blue vitriol, green vitriol. Solubility is the amount of solid which get dissolved at a given amount of solvent at a particular temperature is called it solubility. Generally solubility is checked in a fixed amount of solvent, like 100 gram of solvent, but mentioning temperature is masked. That's the key point here. As we know, on changing temperature the solubility gets changed, so you need to write that at a fixed temperature. 1 plus 1, 2. Question number 4, why water is known as universal solvent? So here 2 words are very much important, mentioning that water is polar, and secondly water is having a maximum dielectric constant among all the solvents known. So these 2 points are mandatory. Water is polar and it has high dielectric constant value. Due to these 2 factors, the water can dissolve maximum amount of solutes known. That is, maximum solids, liquids and gases get dissolved in water. So it is universal solvent. So the 2 words are, water is polar and it's having high dielectric constant value. So it can dissolve maximum amount of substance known if we compare with other solvent, and hence it's called universal solvent. This also carries 1 mark. Question number 5, give a reaction to show removal of temporary hardness of water. Now temporary hardness of water can be done by boiling. So you can simply write the equation, and again to tell you that whenever you are writing the equation, the reaction has to be balanced. Whether it is mentioned or it is not mentioned, you need to balance the reaction. This is the first reaction, and the permanent hardness of water, that is treating with sodium carbonate, that is washing soda. There is a double decomposition reaction. So here also deposition of calcium carbonate, here also deposition of soluble magnesium carbonate. So that's the reaction. So 1 plus 1, any one. I have shown you one reaction. You can give it magnesium carbonate, you can make here calcium chloride, any correct answer. 1 mark for each. Sixth is what makes water hard? Soluble calcium and magnesium salts makes water hard, like sulfates and chlorides of magnesium and calcium dissolves in water and makes water hard. So that's all about this 12 mark question paper. I hope you all have done correct, because this all were there in class 8. It's just a bit of revision kind of. So previously we were talking about chapter 4, and we started discussion on 2n square rule, I think, distribution of the electrons. So any atom, inside an atom, there are two parts. One is nucleus, another is extranuclear part. Nucleus, which is the center, and where there are two, basically other subatomic particles are also there, but we will talk about two subatomic particles, protons and neutrons at present. That is, nucleus is positive because neutron is neutral, proton is positive, and extranuclear part, there are electrons which are revolving around the nucleus in selected orbits. Now these are shells, K shell, L shell, M shell, where the electrons reside. So in nucleus there are protons and electrons, and all those are there in the nucleus. But outside of the nucleus there are K shell, L shell, M shell. So nucleus consists of protons and neutrons. So as a whole, nucleus is positive. Outside there are shells. So the first shell, here we will apply 2n square rule. So first shell is K shell. So n is the number nth cell, that is K shell. For K shell, n will 1. So the maximum electron that can stay is 2 into 1 square, that is 2. For the second cell, that is L shell, n, that is second as it is, so it will be 2 into 2 square, that is 8. For the M cell, it is 2 into 3 square, that is 18. Similarly for N cell, 2 into 4 square, that is 32. That is the maximum amount number of electrons that can stay there. But along with that, you need to keep in mind that the valence shell of an atom cannot have more than 8 electrons. That also you need to keep it in mind. That is why in case of argon, in case of potassium, after argon, potassium and calcium comes. Potassium has 19 electrons. So we write 2881. We cannot write 289 because valence cell cannot have more than 8 electrons. We need to switch to N cell. So it is 2881. We will be continuing this in the next week. Till then, take care and keep revising chapter 1 and 2 for the test. Take care and bye.